Good morning, my peoples. Roland Smith here, Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance. You see all this duct work and all this hose? I've got that to every workstation I've got in my shop. I want to talk to you a little bit about air filtration, so stick around. Let's dive right into this. I've been asked a lot about these hoses, this piping, this tubing. That's my modified air purification system. I don't run it as often as I should, but it works excellent when I do run it. No matter what size wood shop you have, if you're dealing with wood, you need some kind of vacuum system. I'm telling you, float dust gets in your lungs, and it remains. It's micro wood fibers. It remains. It don't come out. Many splinters. Think of it that way. Now, I'm going to run through this right real quick. Try not to drag it out so much. What you will need is a good shop vac. You don't got to have one as big as I've got. A smaller shop vac would have sufficed for me. But I am the kind of guy that thinks bigger is better. Too much is far better than not enough. Okay? What I've done, this is an extension of the vacuum. That's all that is. Every bit of that. I've got drop hoses to each station. I've got a floor sweep. As you can tell, I don't use it that much, but I use this shop. A lot of people do wood shop tutorials and whatnot. They want everything pristine. All I want is the job done. But I've got a floor sweep, angled floor sweep, right here. When I turn that vac on, I can sweep everything to that floor sweep. It goes up and out to the collection bin, which I'll show you in just a minute. What you'll need is some kind of regulator, air regulator. I've got the Rockler blast gates. They come with a bracket. They're good to go. You'll need the right size non-collapsible drop hose. I ordered 25 foot. That was just enough with just a little bit left over in case I have any damage to any of it. Worm clamps and your drop hoses. Kind of confusing, but this thing absolutely rocks when it comes to removing dust particles when I power sand on the lathe. I've got it over here to my bandsaw. And there's so much power on this vac. I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. But there's so much power on this vac, it'll shut the door. If I open the door to that bandsaw and I shut all these gates and just leave one gate. These are gates. If I shut all these gates and I leave the one gate open to the bandsaw, it'll slam that door shut. It'll pull that door shut. And like I said, we'll talk about the power here in a minute. But this is my air filtration system. It's going to be loud just for a second when I get ready to fire this thing up. So you might want to turn your volume down. In 3, 2, 1. See how that worked? And I had 2 gates open, I believe. Yep, 2 gates. I had this gate and the gate over the lathe motor. So the 2 drop hoses over the lathe was open. Let me shut one of the gates and watch the hose as I turn the vacuum on. Watch it compress. I hope you got that. Now let me show you the power. You can hear it. So I'm going to show you the collection bin and give you some tips on that. Stick around. I'm going to try to simplify this as best as I can and talk to you about some of the do's and don'ts when building an air filtration system and the vacuum that you create. And first of all, use a plastic drum. Don't use a metal drum. This is a thick gauge plastic drum. And I was literally blown away by the vacuum that I have created. It only takes 4 pounds of vacuum, I think it's 4 pounds, to crush a metal drum. I've crushed this one countless times, and I ended up having to brace the inside of it with a wooden frame, 2x6 cross brace. And in just a few minutes, this drum came back into form. Had it been a metal drum, I'd have been beating it out. Now, let's talk about the dust deputy. You can buy the larger size. This one works just fine in this size shop or even bigger. Now, be sure that you do not sweep up any drywall screws, nails, finishing nails, or staples. What I think I may have done, don't know if I have or not, but it kind of felt like there was a little pinhole right here, which I'm not losing any suction at the time, but I went ahead and reinforced it with a little bit of tape. Now, keep this dust deputy in mind for future reference. Now, this goes straight to my shop vac. It creates suction inside of this drum from the hard line. Kind of confusing. These are my drop lines. This is the white PVC overhead. I've got drop lines to each and every station. And when I open up a blast gate at a station that I'm working, it will pull from here through the suction and deposit everything inside this plastic drum. Kind of confusing, but that's how it works. I hope you understood that. I don't know if I understood that, but that's how it works. This is an extension of your vacuum. This is an extension to this, but you got to go between. And the cyclone effect deposits everything into the plastic drum. Okay? So let's go back in, we'll finish up. Now that you've seen my air filtration system work, I'm going to quickly answer a few of the questions that I've been asked often. I've had this system up going about a year. I'm beyond satisfied with its performance. And as far as price comparison between a Jet, a Grizzly, and a Harbor Freight being the cheapest system you can buy, I've saved myself about $200 in the build. And it's pretty obvious that I run my shop on a budget. I intend to maintain that budget. And not to mention the build itself was a fun experience. Now, if you build, and you can build regulators, air regulators, if you build your air regulators, I don't care if you got 7, I don't care if you got 70, be sure before you turn your vacuum on that you have at least one gate open, because you are apt to damage something in the system if you have all your gates closed
and you turn on that vacuum, that's how much pressure you build. Be sure you've got at least one gate open. Okay? And that leads us up to the vacuum. Get asked often, how often do you have to empty the vacuum? And how often do you have to change the filter? Well, if your system's run and set up properly, you never empty your vacuum. I empty my deposit barrel about once every 2 weeks. Really depends on how much wood I mill on the lathe, what I'm doing in the shop. As far as the filters, those filters are $24 and some change a piece. And I never change a filter. Not yet anyway. About once a month, I'll pull the filter, blow the filter out, put the filter back in. Because there's nothing that enters into that vacuum. All that is a vacuum. It does not collect a thing. Everything's collected in the drop barrel. So yeah, that's the system. Now remember in the video I said to keep in mind of the cyclone dust deputy that sat on top of the drum. That can be built for about $30. With some PVC and a good 5-gallon bucket, you can create the same cyclone effect with the same outcome. And nevertheless, if you decide to go that route with the dust deputy, that will mount on top of a 5-gallon bucket and do the same as if you built it or you've got a collection drum outside of your shop. If you're doing light sanding, just small projects, that is a great way to do an air filtration system. But I hope this video has helped you in deciding whether or not you want to go with a air filtration system. My advice, regardless if you build it or you order it, you need some kind of air filtration system. A dust mask is simply not enough, regardless of how big or how small your shop is. But I appreciate you for watching this. Roland Smith, Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance. As always, go farther, stay longer. Thanks for watching.